as I was an 80s child, and into the metal bands from that era, I was a big Motley Crue fan. The glam metal era of the 80s that emerged from Los Angeles' Sunset Strip and gave rise to Van Halen, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses and many more, was punctuated by stories of outlandish drug and alcohol use. The Los Angeles scene was just like Rome at its peak, filled with debauchery, stated Rolling Stone assistant editor Andy Green. There were girls everywhere, drugs everywhere. It was the era of AIDS, and they were living like it wasn't. Some, like Rat guitarist Robin Crosby, would go on to contract AIDS. Others died of drug overdoses. The ones who survived tell harrowing tales of near-death experiences and irreversible brain damage. But today we are here to take a closer look at Vince Neil and the death of Razzle. Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle was killed on December 8, 1984, in a car accident with Motley Crue's Vince Neil at the wheel. The two bands were at a party given in honor of the Finnish band's first U.S. tour, when Neil and Razzle, both of whom reportedly had already been drinking, decided to make a run to the liquor store. As the car made its way around a winding Hollywood road, Neil lost control of the vehicle and smashed into another car. All involved sustained injuries, but Razzle was less fortunate. He was taken to South Bay Hospital, where he was declared dead on arrival. Born in Royal Leamington Spa, England, Nicholas Dingley was just 24 years old. Neil was only given a 30-day jail sentence for the incident and got released 10 days early for good behavior. He expressed remorse decades later, admitting that he got off too easy for driving under the influence. "I wrote a $2.5 million check for vehicular manslaughter when Razzle died," stated Neil. Hanoi guitarist Andy McCoy gave Metal Express a first-hand explanation of what happened in the 2006 interview. "I was there. What happened was Razzle disappeared, so did Vince. So me and T-Bone, Tommy Lee, took his car and went looking for them. We drove past this accident and I was like, what color was the car they were driving? Because we just passed an accident with a bright red sports car. Then I saw Razzle's shoe out in the street." Singer Michael Monroe apparently never forgave Neil. "There was an accident, and unfortunately our drummer was killed," the Hanoi Rocks frontman said in 2011. "As far as Vince Neil, I have nothing to say. It was an accident. What happened happened, and it can't be changed. Everybody suffered from the whole thing." Hanoi Rocks soldiered on briefly, bringing in former Clash drummer Terry Chimes to finish off some standing European dates, but shortly after, the band called it a day. A young life was taken by a careless act of drunk driving. Razzle was such a talented drummer, a huge loss for the music world and Hanoi Rocks. It is such a haunting story, of a life lost too soon. Nicholas Razzle Dingley was buried at Holy Cross Church in Beinstead, Isle of Wight, in 1984. Today his grave sits lonely and unattended, with a pair of drumsticks and an old beer can. Basically forgotten. What I do not understand about this story is why it took Vince Neil so many years to apologize. It definitely makes you wonder how one could not be instantly apologetic for such a horrendous thing. But all in all, Motley Crue is one of the best bands of all time, and we all make mistakes in our life. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and stay tuned for future contents.